Becca Kleinkauf, and I read the book Gifted Hands by Ben Carson. Dad, please don't go. Mom, it's all your fault. If you would have forgave Dad, he would still love us and come back. These are the words spoke from a young Benjamin Carson when his father left him at the age of 8. Ben was born in Detroit, Michigan, September 1951. His mother could no longer raise them by herself after his father left, so him and his older brother Curtis moved to Boston with his aunt and uncle in 1959. The tenements where they stayed were very unsanitary. There were roaches and snakes in the basement, and it was just very nasty. The time period didn't help at all either, considering segregation had just ended. And on top of that, his father hardly helped them out at all. But finally, in 1961, things were looking up, and they moved back to Detroit. His mother was stable and on her feet again. Ben started the 5th grade, but it wasn't very good. His grades were awful until he found out that he had the worst vision imaginable and got glasses. His grades gradually rose, and his mom pushed for his improvement. He was top of the class in 7th grade. He was very discriminated against, though. There were 3 incidents where he was threatened. He was threatened to be killed in the 7th grade. At the end of his 8th grade year, a teacher and some white kids threatened him, which no one believed it. And then his 3rd incident was when him and his brother were playing football with the neighborhood boys. Some white kids walked up and threatened to kill them because of how quick they were and how good they were. Ben also found some new things when he was in his teen years. He became religious, and this is when he first wanted to be a missionary doctor. He also found out that he had a very bad temper. He lashed out at his mother and he lashed out at his friends. There was one incident where he tried to kill his best friend. He knew then, best friend, that things needed to change. So he finally, at age 14, focused and got back on track. Honestly, I think Ben and I are alike in ways, considering he wants to be a doctor and we both have temper problems. Mine isn't quite that bad, but yeah. When Ben got into high school, he joined the ROTC program like his brother, and he joined it late, and he wanted to be a colonel, which you had to have had 6 semesters instead of the only 5, which he was going to get, but he actually did make this goal, and it looked really good on a college resume, and he was still in the top half of his class, which was good. But after high school, Ben wasn't sure which college to apply to, so he applied to Yale, and he got in, which he thought it would just be another breeze for him, just like high school was, but it wasn't. It was a large wake-up call. He needed different study skills, and everyone was just as intelligent as he was. Back in Detroit, that was a different story. Well, seeing that he had found God when he was a teenager, God helped him through the tough times in college, which there was many of those. And also, Ben met this girl, Candy, who became the love of his life. And then after college, Ben wanted to go on to medical school, and he was accepted to the University of Michigan, which he switched his field from. It ranged from being a missionary doctor to psychiatrics to finally his true calling, which was neurology. And so, after he finished medical school, Ben applied to Johns Hopkins and was accepted, which they only accepted 2 people a year, so this was a true honor. After medical school, he married Candy, and they traveled around the world a lot, considering he worked with the Johns Hopkins Hospital. And I have a few opinions I'd like to share about Ben. I love how he's so down to earth, and he tries to get down to people's level. He doesn't try to act like he's better, even if he is smart. But after finishing his residency at Johns Hopkins, him and his new wife, went to Australia for a year, and there he gained a lot of his medical experience. And after a year in Australia, him and his wife returned to the United States, and he got a job at Johns Hopkins Hospital as their neurologist there. And Ben did a lot of different types of surgeries that many doctors wouldn't even have dreamed to try. And Ben Carson is very stubborn and believes that patients should all have a fighting chance, and this is the type of attitude that saved so many lives that he did. One of the most amazing surgeries that he did was he was one of the first doctors to ever separate Siamese twins, because other doctors had done it before him, but not both twins survived. He actually did it, and both twins survived, and they recovered well. The surgery took 22 hours at this stage in life. Well, maybe when I'm an adult, but not at this stage in life. And also, Ben is very inspiring to me. He worked through a lot of things. He took a lot of discrimination from a lot of people because of his color. People looked down on him because of his color, and he really inspired me on how he pushed through everything. And there was also one more thing, and it's a program that Ben started. It's called Ben's Think Big. He inspired young teens and other people to think big, and no matter where you grow up at, to try your best, and you can do anything you want to do. After all, he came from Detroit, and no one had ever even heard of something like that. But thank you for watching my book review.